آله وصحابه أجمعين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم رب زدني علما أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وجعلنا البيت مثابة للناس وأمنا واتخذوا من مقام إبراهيم مصلى صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So continuing with this narrative of the establishment of the Kaaba, and we've mentioned quite a few things up to now, and still we have a number of things to continue with. So we heard also how Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam had come to Makkah Mukarramah, established his wife and his child Ismail over there, and ultimately Qabilat al-Jurham also started to populate, and the marriage of Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam to the two women of Qabilat al-Jurham. And of course, in the meantime, as we know that, of course, it was there also that the severe test of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, of the sacrifice of his son, his very son Ismail, also took place in the interim. So now, finally, among the visits of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam periodically to Makkah Mukarramah to visit his wife and child, and now by this time Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam was a young man, married, etc. So this time, when he came, he actually found his son. And by this time now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given the order to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam to begin the construction of Baytullah. So, as the riwayat of Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala mentions that as he came to Makkah, he found his son under a tree making arrows. And obviously, as we mentioned, that was their means of livelihood, hunting. That was their food source, meat and zamzam. That was it. And as Nabi Sallallahu mentioned, that meat and water is not going to suffice anyone, for prolonged and sustainable time, except in Makkah Mukarramah as a karama for the people at that time. So now, as Ibrahim alayhi salam has now come to Makkah, and he finally, this time, he meets his son actually, and he's under the tree making arrows, and he said, "My son, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me an order, and I want you to help me. Will you be prepared to do so?" And obviously his son replied in the affirmative. So now they began the construction. So now actually the construction of the Holy Kaaba is now undergoing. And as we mentioned earlier, that the foundation was most likely already there. And now we don't have very strong ahadith or riwayats that actually pinpoint or detail that specifically. But we do know that there was a foundation there. We do know that the place was definitely specified by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I mentioned, that there are different riwayats that are mentioned. Some that the malaika, the angels themselves, created or built the Kaaba before the advent of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. And some say that actually Adam alayhi salam was the one who built. Some say that malaika were the ones to build it, and Adam alayhi salam rebuilt it. In any case, as we mentioned earlier, probably it was destroyed, the house itself, during the flood, during the time of Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam. So now Ibrahim alayhi salam with Ismail alayhi salam are now rebuilding the Holy Kaaba. And as the ayat mentions, وَجَعَلْنَا الْبَيْتَ مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَأَمْنًا. So there's two things here, مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَأَمْنًا. مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ means a place where the people continuously return. And the amazing thing about, Makkah Mukarramah, as we mentioned, this is a place where people would definitely, apparently, according to its physical appeal, it's not the kind of place people would like to continually go. It's not like Switzerland or Big Bear here or Yosemite or something like that. It's a barren place, but still, it's the most popular destination on the planet. I mean, where else in the world do we have millions of people every year, from every corner of the earth coming to this place from that time until this very time, right? So not only that, but it's a place where every time that you go, and those who have gone to Makkah Mukarramah, they have felt that, every time someone goes and he leaves, he feels more desire to return. It's not like that we get satisfied, okay, I went there, it's over with. No, every time that one goes, if in his heart there's purity and qabul from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he continues to, throughout his life, to increase in his shawq, to return again and again, again and again returning. Right. Okay, number two, amna. It's a place of peace and security. It's a sanctuary. And very amazingly is that even in the time of Jahiliyyah, because actually this was an injunction that was, as the ayat indicates, from the time of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. And as we know that the Arab tribes at the advent or before the advent of Islam, they were warring tribes and there was no central government and it was like every man for himself, every tribe for himself, the strong eat the weak. And this was the order of the day. However, subhanAllah, this injunction remained even during the days of Jahiliyyah, that a person might have killed someone's father or brother and he meets that person, in the haram. And he would not, and you know how the tribal people are, and how they were. They would kill you for the least of purposes, or the least of reasons. So, but in spite of that, due to the barakat and the power of which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed that injunction in that place and made it a place of safety, that even the killer of one's father, we found him there, he wouldn't raise his hand to him. Subhanallah. So even during the wars and the bloodshed and all the tribal strife, so still this sanctuary is a place. And of course, that is an injunction that the Sharia continues to uphold and preserve. And therefore, the question comes that, okay, suppose somebody commits a crime inside the haram. Is he also, will he also be spared? Will he also be safe? Obviously, if we allow such, our practice, there's going to be chaos and there's going to be a lot of mischief, particularly when the people's taqwa becomes less or non-present. So, obviously, if someone commits a crime in the haram or commits a crime outside of the haram and then seeks sanctuary in the haram, so in this case, obviously, justice has to be done and justice will proceed that. However, will the punishment take place in the haram or outside the haram? There's a difference of opinion among ulama there. But in any case, the shedding of blood and fighting in haram are not permitted. It was only permitted for Rasulullah during the time of the conquest of Makkah. And as Nabi mentions, suayat, some very small portion of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it permissible for Nabi and Nabi only and his army to enter, and proceed with qital if it was necessary. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved the situation and controlled it, and so actually fighting did not take place except for some very small skirmishes. Other than that, the order of that sanctity and the prohibition of fighting, killing, bloodshed of any type remains until this very day and inshallah until the day of Qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us also among the fortunate to again and again return to the Bayt of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and keep it safe and secure and pure for the people for the entirety of time to come. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم